I did everything right and they indicted me.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your television. It is really 2023, and for the first time in history, a president is being indicted and will face criminal charges. This is all just such great news, such great news.
I was proven even more right than I would have ever imagined because apparently...
Well, folks, I don't even have time for the songs because we are on the ground in Virginia where the failed, twice indicted, twice arrested, twice impeached former president has just landed in Virginia and will be moving into Washington, D.C. to be arrested, indicted, and arraigned for the third time.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
You know, it happens to the best of us. What a day, what a day, what a day. It's so great to have you here. We are monitoring multiple streams. We have Fox News. We have Newsmax, which will no doubt be incredibly triggered.
And his team, his lawyers.
We have Right Side Broadcasting, which is completely unhinged. We have Now This News with a feed.
At courthouse.
We have ABC News. We are monitoring all the feeds, ladies and gentlemen. And it is truly an incredible day. Now, where is that noise coming from? I don't even know which of these feeds has audio coming from it still. I thought I muted all of them. Ah, this one. Okay, here we go. We are going to be talking about 561 years in prison, and we will talk about, where Trump got that number, where anybody's getting that number, the meaning of it, the significance, and all of that. We are going to talk about what we are likely to expect today over the next 60 minutes. Remember that Donald Trump is due in court at 4 p.m., presumably has to get there earlier. He will be booked, apparently no mugshot, etc., etc. We will be taking some of your questions and comments via Super Chat, including from Chakoseki, who says, David, if Trump gets jailed, does that mean the newly single Trudeau and Melania will get a chance at true love? One never knows. We don't know. It's certainly possible that this would be that opportunity. We will be thanking all of the great people who are here and who are supporting the stream. We're going to talk about what happens next, the impact on the election, all of these different things. I don't know why this feed something is a little bit screwy about this feed, folks. Let's see if we can get it aligned properly for everybody. Here we go. Okay, so we are standing by for the failed former president. These are extraordinarily serious charges. I interviewed today on the podcast. It's been recorded. It was just published. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, joined me. And here is the failed former president. Look at this guy.
And Olivia, we're now seeing him deboard the plane. It looked like he mouthed the words, thank you. He is now walking down the plane, and we're going to take
He is using bipedal Homo sapiens locomotion to exit the flying vehicle.
Good afternoon. We are coming on the air as the nation witnesses an historic moment in Washington, D.C.
Did you guys hear that? An historic. So that is appropriate. I'm not the only guy saying an historic.
Working to overturn the results of a presidential election that the special counsel alleges Donald Trump knew he lost. There you see Donald Trump, obviously emerging from his plane. It has just landed at Reagan Airport in Washington. He will now head to appear in federal court for the arraignment to answer for the first time to criminal charges stemming from the special counsel's investigation into attempts to overturn the 2020 election. The former president traveling today from Bedminster to Washington. This was not quite the return to Washington this former president had envisioned for himself. This is Donald Trump's third criminal indictment, but these are the most serious charges.
Nobody's been indicted as strongly as Trump. I mean, the just alpha energy that he has maintained through this indictment is like nothing I have ever seen. Michelle says, today's my husband and my 26th wedding anniversary. I appreciate the gift of indictment.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
MCK says, David, sir, I can solve Trump's legal issues within 24 hours. I'd go up to him with tears in my eyes and say, sir, gotta settle. I actually have the gotta settle clip, which will soon be on the soundboard. I just didn't get it on in time for today's stream. Let's take a brief listen to how Fox News is covering this.
Honor, because I am being arrested for you. Make America great again. Really a historic day, Martha. The way this will go, this is a first appearance. This is an arraignment. He's going to hear.
There's Jason Miller, by the way, one of Trump's chief propagandists. He has to ride in a van, apparently.
Clear if they will speak for him or he will enter his own plea of not guilty. But as you said, this is the third time the former president has had to go before a judge and go through this. Each time it's been a little bit different, but still he's used to it somewhat at this point. So right now we're waiting for this motorcade.
It's become old hat for Trump to get arrested. Listen, thank you to everyone who is showing up on Twitch. Do You Grok and Breezy, as well as an anonymous gifter, Puma Sarah, Chunky Strudel, Jay Colley, as well as STFU John, who gifted 5 subscriptions. It's so great to see everyone. It is such a special day. Here is the William B. Bryant Courthouse, where Trump will indeed be booked momentarily. The motorcade now departing and heading in the direction of Washington, D.C. Tiny Sir Jen, great to see you. Just dumping in 10 subscriptions, which I appreciate. It is an extraordinary motorcade. I do want to let everybody know we have launched a new coupon code today because of the special occasion, Thrice Indicted. Verify the spelling of thrice. You see it over my head. Thrice Indicted. You can use that code at joinpacman.com. Sir Tremont is the first today to sign up on the website and is new member number 22. Thrice Indicted. It is an incredible, historic day. Super chats are dumping in like I've never seen. GWJ says, David, my parents are conservative. Fairly often they're going on about an impending civil war and there being 2 sides among the American people. Is there a genuine rift or are they just falling for bad media takes? 2 things can be true. There is an incredible rift in the United States right now. And yet, I do not believe we are anywhere close to what would be accurately described as a civil war. Both can be true. Major rift, not one over which a civil war is about to break out. Lodmott says the best part about Trump making fun of him. The best part about Trump is making fun of him. My nicknames include Trumpelstiltskin and Trinkety Dink. Have a great time during your stream. Love watching your content. Thank you, Lodmott. I very much appreciate that. Eugene, David, sir, do you think McCain is up in heaven looking down saying, I like presidents that weren't indicted? Keep on keeping on. That may be. That may be. It's so hard to know what the late John McCain would be thinking at this point in time. If you were just joining us, we are following the Trump motorcade to the courthouse in Washington, D.C., where the failed former president will be arrested, booked, and arraigned a 3rd time. This is no president has ever been arrested as strongly and powerfully as Donald Trump. He wanted to go down in history and be remembered. And I am closer to being ready to pronounce that he will indeed be remembered. I can't think of any better arrest of a president than what we are seeing right now. I really can't. And I think for that, we have many people to be grateful for. Now, let me say a little something about due process and law and order and all of these sorts of things.
If you care about law and order.
Law, auto, and umbrella coverage. I'm going to discuss all of it today. Listen. People like Eric Trump, not known to be the smartest of the Trump kids and others, have now been saying that what is taking place here with Donald Trump is some kind of violation of due process, that law and order is not taking place here. And these are the very same people, Eric Trump, Trump's followers, and others, who for years have been yelling, lock her up about Hillary Clinton. Lock him up about Joe Biden, about Hunter Biden. Sometimes they say that it is actually Barack Obama who should be imprisoned.
Obama.
That is not due process. Imprisoning people who haven't even been indicted is not due process. I am not going to stoop to their level by saying, oh, lock up Trump. Now, pretrial detention, judges should look at it seriously. I think Trump is getting special treatment. They're not even considering pretrial detention for Trump. Anybody else with 4 ongoing criminal cases and an airplane would be like, you're a flight risk. We're detaining you. But okay, fine. Trump's getting special treatment. But the point here is you're not going to hear me yelling, lock him up, because he hasn't had his day in court. What we are seeing here is the justice system operate. And what we have so far is that an investigation has taken place. Yes, an investigation that many investigations Trump tried to obstruct. Subsequently, a grand jury has been presented with the evidence, and they have said, we think there's enough here to meet the charges that you want to file. So Trump has been indicted.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
He now gets his chance to mount a defense, to get the best lawyers that are willing to work for him and whatever else. If indeed we get to a point where the guy is convicted, I will demand not lock him up, but I will demand that a judge issue an appropriate sentence based on the convictions. Okay? That's called law and order. That is called due process. Now, people are talking about 561 years in prison. Trump is fundraising on this idea of, they're going to put me in prison for 6 lifetimes. Here's the truth of that. And people have been emailing me about this. This is the lead story on today's podcast. I hope you guys are subscribed to the podcast. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing here? Yes, if you look at the 78 felony counts and you say, what if Trump were were convicted on all 78 counts and sentenced to the maximum on all 78 counts? Yes, it would add up to roughly 561 years. Is Trump going to at any point be sentenced to 561 years in prison? Of course not. One of the realities here is that as you go through these cases, charges are combined. Some charges are dropped. We saw this in the Kyle Rittenhouse case and elsewhere. So you end up with fewer charges. Oftentimes, if you take a plea, it'll be, hey, we'll drop these 20 charges if you plead guilty to these 4. Even if you get to that point, you rarely get the max on every single count. And even if you got the max on every single count, you often get to serve some of them concurrently rather than consecutively. So 561, I think more likely the answer is 0 or maybe somewhere between 5 and 10. I don't know. Bearing in mind Trump's age and relatively poor health, I don't mean he has a disease, but he's obese, he doesn't exercise, and he eats terribly. Most sentences for Trump, particularly given that it could take years for these cases to work themselves through the legal system, many sentences for Trump would effectively be life sentences. But I don't believe Trump will see a day of prison. I think it's possible he will, but I don't think it is the most likely scenario. Okay? So that's where we are from the standpoint of 561 years. Now, let me get to a couple other things. I do want to make sure that we are showing love to everybody who supports today's stream. We have a new coupon code, Thrice Indicted. The code works at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Stacy Hunson, Sir Coming with Tears Smith, Jasmine Beatty, and Manet Rebello Plow, all of whom signed up at joinpacman.com with the coupon code Thrice Indicted. Thank you. You are keeping this show up and running. If it weren't for you, I might still have the mic, but there'd be no lights and I'd be talking to no one. Speaking of which, there's my hair light. I forgot to turn my hair light on. Also, thank you to Milo Wild and Montelius, Vinyl Sideshow, Captain Smiles, Johan Benjamin, Jar Jar Binks loves you, all of whom have dumped in some memberships via Twitch and Twitch Prime. Really appreciate it. So appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, my hair has its own light. It's an incredible thing. Off, on, off, on. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's what we have. And by the way, I do address today on the podcast the allegations that my haircut is lopsided. I'm not going to jump the gun on that. It's on today's podcast, but I can assure you my hair is not actually lopsided. All right, let's continue with the super chats. Oh, hold on. That one I already did. White Dove says, love you, man. Thanks for your coverage. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Music asks, should Trump lose his title of president? Question, can he file for insanity so he doesn't have to go to prison? He's entitled to mount an insanity defense if that's what he wants. I mean, certainly he can do that. It's would be difficult, I think. Aaron says Mar-a-Lago needs a whole lot of breeze spray because if he gets house arrest, it's got to smell like Mickey D's. That's Aaron's first super chat. I very much appreciate that. Brandon says, I wonder when Trump glitches out post-arrest, what new soundbite will be made. He's got a good streak going. Absolutely. Thanks, Andrea. Is it true that you speak Spanish? If so, how did you learn? I learned because I was born in Argentina. The question is, how did I learn English, sir or ma'am? That's really the question. Your TikTok content is awesome. Keep it up. We're blowing up on TikTok. It's crazy. We're over 500,000 followers on TikTok. I don't even know how. It's really bonkers stuff. Thanks, Derek, for the super chat. NJVJ says, David, do you think Trump would flee to Russia if convicted? No, I do not think so. Samantha says, David, sir, do you think Christie will beat out DeSantis for second place? Sadly, no, I don't think Chris Christie will beat out DeSantis. James, David, do you think Trump's base will eventually devolve into something no one wants? I think they have already. I hate to tell you, but I think they have already. Welcome to Griselle Marchand, who just signed up on my website with the coupon code Thrice Indicted. If you're just joining us. Oh, and thanks, Matt B, for the Twitch subscription. If you're just joining us, the failed former president is about to be arrested for a third time. Donald Trump will soon surrender to federal custody at a Washington, D.C. courthouse. We are following the motorcade as we speak. Donald Trump landing in Virginia and moving into a black SUV and being taken to be arrested again. And it's going to be a relatively short court appearance scheduled for 45 minutes from now. We will soon see Donald Trump exit at the courthouse. We are following a number of different feeds here. Quite a view that we have here. Fox News running ads for Crone stuff. Okay, so we'll go back over here. And as you can see, sort of a crowd starting to gather near the courthouse. And it's going to be quite a day. Jerome says, David from the Netherlands, I've been following your fantastic program for a long time now. Congratulations to all Americans that this indictment has finally come. Keep democracy alive and send this man to jail. Again, my view is sentence him in accordance to what he's convicted of. Okay, that's my view. We have arrived at the courthouse. Is there some aerial view we might be able to pick up? I don't know. It's starting to get a little difficult to see what's going on, but we're going to continue monitoring. Thanks, Peter, for the super chat. James says, Reuters poll, half of Republicans said they would not vote for Trump if he was convicted of a felony. It's scary. It's not at 100%, but still damaging. Very much so. Very much so. Music, love your show. Long time watching. Appreciate that very much. Sorium says in Spanish, no sabía que eras latino. Gracias por tus colaboraciones. I cannot stand us being held hostage by this guy. Thank you. David, can you make a get us a Coke, please? Soundbite. Bring in some Cokes. Yeah, no, we need that. We need that. Folks, what is happening on the website? Simon Says, as well as Oscar Lindell, Maxwell Newsom, and Maxwell Newsom, did you get 2 memberships? No, you just got 1. Thank you for signing up. The coupon code is Thrice Indicted. It is a sort of celebration of sorts. Donald Trump being arrested for the 3rd time today. If you go to my website, where you get, of course, access to the bonus show.
Watch this guy, Pac-Man. He's good. Pac-Man. A David Pac-Man membership costs $6 a month.
Right. With the coupon code Thrice Indicted, it does not cost $6 a month. And really appreciate everybody signing up. Let's see if we can listen to a voicemail or two as they come in.
David, sir, during your show today, you missed a key.
Oh, hold on. That's off topic, actually. I don't want to deal with that. Right now. Yeah, actually, let's not do voicemails right now. Let's listen to the ABC coverage.
Absolutely, David. And as I watch that motorcade and think about what you just said, that he will be near the Capitol. He just passed the Jefferson Memorial. He has the Washington Monument in his view. but most of all, the capital.
So ABC doing some very poetic sort of coverage of what's going on. Newsmax in some kind of commercial. Right Side Broadcasting waiting at the courthouse. Now this news, very strange angle, doesn't let us see too much. And also Fox News. I don't even know what is happening with Fox News. Our Fox News feed is just an absolute mess, quite frankly. I do apologize for what's going on with the Fox News feed. It's
put together a business that dealt with government.
Oh my God. Is this look at Trump's getting arrested for a third time, and look at what Fox News is running. Look at this. Wow. Breaking news, folks. There's a letter from 12 years ago that Fox News is covering super strongly. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable that this is what they've got. All right. Swaysbuck says, David, I got your book for my 6-year-old twins. We really enjoy it. The kids like that they can share their thoughts during reading it. Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, look at this. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I wrote a children's book and we have sold almost 9,000 copies, and it is the #1 new release in children's school and educational books on Amazon. I don't have any clue what I'm doing, and we have a best-selling children's book. It's bonkers, okay? You can get the book at davidpakman.com/book. And please, honestly, please leave a review if you get the book, okay? We've sold 9,000 copies, and there's only 540 reviews. The review can just be, love the book, okay? This doesn't have to be this long, Dostoevsky-like thing. Just love the book. Kids love it, whatever. All right? davidpakman.com/book. It's available in Kindle. Yes, Kindle. But about 90% of people are buying the paperback. I gave a copy to my daughter, who's only a little over a year old. And she loves the illustrations. And also, she ripped 3 pages out of the book. Make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Big thank you to Hudson Leith, Kyle Swan, Monique Marzini, as well as Lisa Prouse, Alex Schultz. Oh, memberships are dumping in faster than I can thank people. Susan Oakley, Daryl Prescott, and Jessica Hines. That is, how many is this? This is 8 plus 39. 39 plus 8 must be like, 47 or something like that. Thank you. The coupon code is thrice indicted, and we have quite a day on our hands. Super chats continuing to come in. TW says, anytime I hear these Trumpers talk of civil war, I reply, less talk, more action, Trumper. Pick up your long gun and get to work. Usually shuts them up. Yeah, I don't know that I would encourage them to take out their guns, because a lot of them have them. So I might stop a little short of that. Thanks, Ben, for the super chat. Mike says, love watching your show, David. Always look forward to my video feed to see your content. Keep it up. Thank you. Zoinks says, can't help but smile at the thought of Don Jr. with his hand on the glass visiting his dad in prison. That's imagery for sure. Don't know that it'll be a reality. Josh Forbes says, thanks so much for your principled, clear-cut news coverage each day. The best independent news channel out there. That's Josh's first super chat ever. I appreciate that. Nick Watkins says, great show, David. Sir, it's going to be awesome to see Trump do a general election debate from a prison payphone. He just won't debate if that's the case. Andrew says, David, your children's book has less pictures than Trump's book. Andrew, it is fewer. It has fewer pictures than Trump's book, but I appreciate the sentiment. Trent says, in jail, Trump starts cell networks for non-binary cellmates and implements Sunday spaghetti socials and makes Mexico pay for it. That's quite a scene. I don't know if that will happen. Thanks to Samantha for gifting 5 subscriptions via YouTube. Really appreciate that. Let me get caught up. Welcome everybody watching on Twitch and subscribing. Monty-Un, Octavian, Dizzy Bird, Earthworm. Thank you for the Twitch Prime subscriptions, putting us at 56. And folks, I am getting notified by the IT department, which is not a very big department, that we are seeing extraordinarily heavy demand on the website. I want to say thanks to David Frankel, Kelly Bredesen, Matthew Posen, and Steve Hardacre, who just signed up on my website using the coupon code thrice indicted. It's a celebration of sorts. Cowboy Devil says, libertarian here, good day for people who stand for actual liberty. Liberty, due process, etc. Right? Right? F Stoppers says, do you think Trump will be photographed in handcuffs? A friend of mine bet me a fancy steak dinner he will be photographed. This is his third chance. No, my understanding is that Trump will be neither handcuffed nor mugshotted today, but we do have a statement from the Fulton County Sheriff in Georgia, where Trump may next be indicted, that the plan there is for a mugshot unless something changes, What that something would be, I don't know. Someone may just say, we're not doing the mugshot. All right, let's listen in to ABC News' coverage.
Say to the president, I will not do this. I will not intervene. We lost this election.
I did, David, many times.
So let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, because this will be part of what the defense goes to, what was playing out in Donald Trump's mind as Jack Smith tries to make the case that it wasn't just Mike Pence, it was a multitude of people who were very close to the former president and the former president himself who knew they were.
I mean, at this point, we know Rudy Giuliani was involved. This is quite literally, this was a conspiracy. They conspired to try to defraud and disenfranchise the voters. That's flat out what it is. Alive says, feels unreal watching history unravel. Also, congrats on the success of the children's book, although next time consider hiring or supporting an artist instead of AI art. Thanks. All right, we will consider that. Thanks to Wade McFarland, first-time super chat. Rob says, seems as though until other Republicans make a forceful stand against Trump, nothing will change. Delusions need to be broken. Agree 100%. Ethan with the first-time super chat. Do you still hold the same gut belief that Trump doesn't see the inside of a cell? Yes. Has your confidence in that changed? Yes. I still believe the most likely outcome is not a single day of prison for Trump. However, the strength with which I believe that has diminished. Ninja Vesto says, notice how he insults and threatens Jack Smith, Willis, Alvin Bragg, Juan Michon. Sorry about spellings on the name, but not Eileen Cannon. I find it very suspicious. Coincidence? I think not. Look at this. Folks, the protesters aren't really protesters. They seem, I can't really tell, but are they more in favor of Trump's arrest than against it? It's hard to tell from the shot we just saw. Let's see what we have here. I saw a lock 'em up sign there. It sort of seems like the quote protesters are there because they want Trump arrested. Big thank you to Stephen Dunn, Krista Smith, Sophie Brunette Boyven, Gary Horde, Josh Forbes, Lynn Foster, and Rob Nicholas, dumping in some super strong memberships on my website. We are using a new coupon code. If you kind of like what I do, or at least think it's valuable to have programming like this, consider signing up at joinpacman.com. One of the things I will absolutely tell you is that Candace Owens is very much against you supporting my work.
David Pakman does not have a soul. He doesn't have a soul.
Right. Howard Stern likes what we're doing.
A David Pakman membership costs $6 a month.
Right. So you judge for yourselves, okay? But in all seriousness, joinpacman.com. We have these memberships and they're super cheap. The coupon code thrice indicted saves you like 50%. It's almost like we're giving them away. We may run out of memberships the way things are going, okay? Continuing to see super chats come in. Let's see what we've got here. David, do you think there will be any charges against the MyPillow guy? Honestly, I have no idea. It seems like a coin flip. No idea. David, where's Lindsey with tears in his eyes? Yeah, I would love to see Lindsey Graham again in another one of these profiles in Courage. Would love to see him crying over Trump getting indicted. That would be very, very interesting. Let's see what else we have here. I hope I am the first fan from Tokyo, Japan. You know, Nico, we love our Japanese fans, but you are not the first. You are not the first. We actually have had a number of supporters from Tokyo. Great people, including Kyoko. Everybody remembers Kyoko. Ben says, will his kids defend him at all? Probably not. No, his kids have been defending him pretty intensely. Thank you, David. Says, food's worth your salt. Screwhan says, I bet Melania's at home cheering at the possibility of getting her hands on his money without him. The Melania factor is an interesting one for sure. For sure. You should team up with Kirshner and Farron Dollamore, start a petition pressuring Roberts to allow cameras in the courtroom for this trial. Roberts, are you talking about John Roberts? This trial won't be in the Supreme Court. I actually don't know, Wade, exactly what you're referring to. Rian says, I'm worried that this will aid his chances in 2024. The MAGA cult can't be reasoned with. Also, thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Mr. C says, as a drag queen, I want to perform. And I'm telling you, I'm not going from Dreamgirls dressed as Trump. However, I don't know that I could wear enough foundation ever. That sounds like a lot. I'm not even going to delve into that. I don't even know how to deal with that. Lucia says, thank you for your content. Stay safe, stay awesome. Love from Dublin, Ireland. P.S. Your hair looks fantastic. Oh, thank you. I actually think that my hair has been better lately. I know today on the podcast, we have concerns about the hair, but I think it's been pretty good lately. I don't know. Oh, God. That I'm going to have to lower my chair, actually. Hold on. Let's see. To fit it all in. Let me lower the chair. There we go. Okay. Let's just because it's such a special day. I'm actually 6 feet tall when I do this, which is really useful. Hold on. I might need different. Let me see if my hair light might not even be necessary now. No, I still need it. I still need it. Did I ever think I would see a presidency result in 3 arrests? No. No, I didn't. I really didn't. Wow, folks. Thanks to Martin Coburn, Sue Weber, Bruce Zorno, Jeff Jordan, Jeremy Boniello, Marianne Lynch, and Karen Ferguson, who just signed up on my website. Thank you. Thank you. Putting us at 74. People on Twitch are losing their minds. 3 indictments, none the wiser, has just subscribed with Prime. Luna Doggy has gifted 5. Elliot Jackson, Ajalfin, Chris Leo, Hell Yeah, Gazerker, Torrent Block. People are losing their minds here trying to support what we're doing, which is crazy. We are moments away from Donald Trump's arrival here. There is one very large Trump flag. Now, you might say to yourself, why aren't there any such flags for Joe Biden? It must be he doesn't have as much support. No, it's that Biden supporters aren't part of a cult. We're just like, oh yeah, I voted for the better option. Now I'm going back to my life. I don't need to go and have oversized flags printed to then wave while the guy I voted for is getting arrested. You don't need that. You don't need that. Okay. Geez, folks. It's like, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. Austin says it's Pac-Mania 2023. Love the coverage. Thank you. Ollie says the irony of the police he is accused of putting in danger on January 6th, now having to give him an escort to court. Bittersweet. Let's hear what Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is saying.
How it played out in front of the country for a number of days, trying to make the case that the president was responsible for the insurrection on January 6th. So the previous 2 indictments have to do with classified documents, but this one's particularly with a seditious conspiracy for January 6th, claiming that he did have some type of role in the January 6th insurrection. So, obviously the case is going to be made that, he was told by advisors the outcome or what was going on in the election. He was just really putting out the message based upon what he heard and what he saw.
Once again, this is propaganda. This is propaganda. This dude is trying to make you falsely believe that Donald Trump's belief about whether he won or lost the election is relevant to whether he committed the crimes he is accused of. Trump's belief, or whether he was telling the truth or not, is not relevant. Is not relevant. There was an attempt made, a conspiratorial attempt to defraud and disenfranchise the voters by virtue of creating these fake sets of electors. Trump is not being indicted and arrested because of what he said, nor for the truth or falsity of his claims about the election. It says it on the first page, paragraph 3 of the indictment. Okay? Do not fall for this propaganda from Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. It is not the truth. It is not the truth. That is not why Trump was arrested. Okay. All right. Let's reset as we are half past the hour. If you're just joining us and you're wondering, like, why am I here? What is wrong with my hair? What is wrong with everything that's happening here? We are covering the third arrest of the failed former president, Donald Trump. Trump has landed in Virginia. His motorcade is already well en route to the courthouse. He will arrive. He will be booked, reportedly fingerprinted, no mugshot, no handcuffs. At 4 p.m., at the stroke of 4 p.m. Eastern, half an hour from now, he will be arraigned. The judge arraigning him, Tanya Chutkan, I believe is her last name, is an Obama appointee.
Obama.
This is already being used to do character assassination against her. Of course, in Florida, the judge is a Trump appointee, and be that as it is, or be that as it may. And then Donald Trump presumably will be released and will go back to the airport and fly back to Bedminster or Florida or who knows where. There are 4 felony counts in this indictment, bringing Trump's total number of counts against him, I believe, to 78 counts. Although at this point, what's a couple felonies between you and I? There are 6 unindicted co-conspirators, 3 of whom are other lawyers that have worked for Trump. MAGA really has taken on the meaning, making attorneys get attorneys. So many lawyers. Oh, hold on. We're hearing from one of Trump's lawyers.
Directly, he is now facing criminal charges, in part because of January 6th.
Alina Habba, spokesperson with the Trump campaign and for the former president. Let's listen in.
Look at the facts. On March 17th, Hunter accidentally admits that it was his laptop from hell. The next day, DA Alvin Bragg indicts President Trump.
Oh, the timing.
June 8th.
Alina Habba making the case that this is politically motivated, bringing up...
All right, I'd rather just hear what she's saying. Here we go.
Ukrainians paid the Biden crime family millions and millions of dollars.
Talking about the Biden crime family in response to Trump's arrest is a little bit too on the nose.
Last week, Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal fell through when the judge realized it had blanket immunity. The following day, a superseding indictment against Donald Trump. July 31st, Devin Archer goes to testify in front of the House. That was only after they failed to put him in jail prior to the fact. What happens the next day? The January 6th indictment that we're here for today.
Wow.
This is not a coincidence. This is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate right now for president, for either party. President Trump is under siege in a way that we have never seen before.
Really?
President Trump and his legal team and everyone on his team will continue to fight, not for him, but for the American people.
BS.
I'll take some questions.
Thank you. I know the president has called this a witch hunt. You just laid out several examples of that. Any other thoughts that the president has communicated to you in terms of why this is going on and why he calls it a witch hunt?
I think a witch hunt is really the way that anybody should describe this, because it's not something we've seen in our time.
Really?
This is not even political. This is beyond that. A witch hunt is when you relentlessly attack your opponent, when you relentlessly attack the thing that you are most afraid of.
Tough question, huh, guys? Really doing some journalisming.
People are afraid of somebody who is independently wealthy and who has given up his good life to fight for this country. And that frightens a lot of politicians who are career...
Sorry, guys. Independently wealthy, yet using campaign donations to pay legal fees.
Happened to us.
You see this case is about free speech, but the special counsel says Trump could have disagreed with the results and talked about it. No crime there. The difference is what he did to try and switch the votes.
So what is it that he did to try and switch the votes that you refer to? By bringing cases, by using the law in an appropriate manner, unlike what we're sitting here today seeing. This is not appropriate. What President Trump did is he said, go patriotically, and peacefully and protest. That is an American right.
This is such a distortion. None of this is in the indictment. They're acting like you can't just look at the indictment and see why the guy is getting charged. It's not for any of these reasons.
Needs to look at this as a whole, right? It's not about the January 6th case. It's about the fact that in the matter of a couple months, we have seen them try and tie up, and me as an attorney, I've never seen this, tie up one individual who's running a campaign, running for office for president, so that he is in court, in depositions, and distracted, so that he won't properly run for 2024. And frankly, it's not going to work.
Is the legal team going to argue that the election was stolen?
I don't think that that's the argument that needs to be made. I think that anybody that believes that is misreading this. The truth is, as an American,
it actually doesn't matter. Like it says Trump can lie. It doesn't matter whether the election was or wasn't stolen or whether Trump does or doesn't believe that. So this entire discussion is nonsense.
I don't think Jack Smith really thought it through. There only has to be proof that, number one, President Trump believed that this election was not completely honest.
Wrong.
And number two, Jack Smith has opened himself up to a can of worms that we can now look at and really examine.
If you believe that he's innocent and that this is all a setup, why not bring it to trial as soon as possible before the election so that you can clear his name?
Yeah, I would love to do that, but there's something called discovery. And when somebody wants to say that the 2020 election was perfect and that President Trump has no right to object to it, we've got to go show him all the facts. And there's a lot of facts to show. So everybody has their time. And to say that Donald Trump should then be rushed and not be given the same fair proceeding that anybody else is just, frankly, un-American. It's not fair. It's not the way our system works.
A lot of the lawyers who helped him try to overturn the election are unnamed co-conspirators in the indictment. Jenna Ellis isn't. Why do you think that is?
I'm not going to speak to co-conspirators or anybody else. I represent President Trump.
Okay, let's go one more. Lena, there are a number of, there's testimony and there's a number of aides that have said that the president was made aware that he lost the election and yet continued to argue that it was stolen from him. How do you reconcile those two things?
Well, I think that everybody was made aware that he lost the election, but that doesn't mean that that was the only advice he was given. As anybody understands what happens in the Oval Office, there are a numerous amount of advisors and politicians and lawyers, not just one or two, that are giving you advice and telling you what they believe is true. So he may not agree with Mike Pence. He may not agree with one of his lawyers, but that doesn't mean that
they keep acting like it's like, number one, it's a matter of opinion who won the election, and number two, that relates to why he was indicted. Neither is true.
I remember hearing Hillary Clinton and Stacey Abrams argue their elections were not right. I mean, how in the weaponization.
The dude talking is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
But if your last name's Trump, it's very different. So Hillary Clinton could have a problem when she lost the election, and we could have a complete liberal meltdown, as we all saw. But when we have dignified disagreements, we take them to court. We say do things patriotically and peacefully. He's to blame for things that he did not himself do. And that's what we're seeing. Frankly, folks, this is not about that. This is about politics. This is about 2024. Period. The end.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. As we are live.
All right. So there is, at this point, she was one of Trump's lawyers, and then Trump asked her to lie, or she did lie. It's crazy what went on. Anyway, she now has given a statement as Trump's spokesperson or something. It's a vile statement. It's a disgusting statement. And she's going back to the van, apparently. Will she feel good about what she is doing right now, this interference she's running for Trump 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Hard to imagine as we await the arrival of the failed former president. Any moment, finish the wall prominently there on a flag, a show of support for the failed former president, who soon will be booked and arrested the third time. We are about 15 minutes away from Donald Trump's scheduled third arrest. And it is just bonkers what is going on the at the courthouse and just everywhere. I'm not going to thank everyone individually because I don't want to read 26 names, but 26 people just signed up on my website, joinpacman.com, pushing us all the way to 114. We have a new coupon code. The code is thrice indicted because today is the day of Trump's third arrest. And I'm encouraging you to sign up at joinpacman.com. If today is your first time here, we will be streaming future Trump arrests, if there are any, the Republican primary debates, the first being August 23rd, eventual general election debates. All I'm asking you, I don't need 11,000 votes. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. We are barreling towards 2 million YouTube subscribers. If you're here and you're new and you're not yet subscribed, this is such a beautiful thing you can do, which is to make sure you are subscribed. You'll be notified of future streams. It costs you nothing. I'm offering you nothing other than a good time. Okay. So please consider that. I don't know, just consider it. And certainly you can leave a voicemail at 219-2-DAVID-P. Maybe we'll listen to like one voicemail here. Let's listen.
Hey, David. Love the show. Just want to let you know that I've noticed you picking up some of Trump's mannerisms, even when you're not doing a segment on him, such as the accordion hands and even a little bit of the inflection he does when he says things like sanctimonious.
Ron DeSanctimonious.
But yeah, I'm not sure if it's intentional or not.
It is intentional. It's a joke. It's just a total joke. Let's see what else we have here.
Hi, David. Been a fan for a long time. Just had a question for you. With Donald Trump being indicted for a third time, and I keep hearing you say that you don't believe he's going to do any jail time at all.
I don't.
I'm kind of up in the air. Maybe he'll do house arrest. I'm hoping, obviously, he at least does some years for what he's done, but I'd like to know, what is your number one reason why you don't believe Trump's going to do any jail time?
It's not a question of belief. There's not a reason that I have to, it's not a belief. It's not sort of like, well, the reason I think we breathe oxygen is X, Y, Z. It's just, I still see it as more likely than not that these cases end in some kind of deal that keeps Trump out of prison. Either suspended sentence or house arrest or probation, or I don't know. It's just my sense of it. Do I think we're going to throw Trump in prison? No. And everybody is entitled to their opinion for sure. I don't have a monopoly on this perspective. Let's take a look at some of the other super chats. Craig says, "Nice hair, David." Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a crazy hair day. TW says, "David, let's be sure to spread the message. Trump's team will delay all of these cases until after the election. It's up to the voters to ensure he doesn't take the presidency and then pardon himself. Polls show it's basically tied." Yeah. And then if Trump becomes president, he'll say, "Oh, I'm currently president. You can't encumber me by making me have to deal with these trials." David, if he did everything right, why are they indicting him?
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Okay, we did that one. Phil says, "Can you guys ban the ginger monster from Scotland? We don't want him here. Keep up the good work, fella." I have no idea what that's about. Duke Ford says, "Reuters poll, half of Republicans say they won't vote for Trump if found guilty, probably closer to 30%. Either way, pray it's after the nomination." Patricia says, "If a citizen did what Trump did, carry 3 different indictments and dozens of felonies, we'd be in jail awaiting a bond hearing, no doubt about it." Patricia is correct. And that is Patricia's first super chat ever. Thank you, Patricia. Leslie says, "Can we hear Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend?" Okay, let's see what he's up to. Let's see here.
Dedicated to promoting conservative principles and accept no compromise on taste or quality. So go ahead and go to blackoutcoffee.com/RSBN and use coupon code RSBN for 20% off your first order. So ditch those other guys. Blackout Coffee remains true to our values. That's blackoutcoffee.com/RSBN.
Somehow she says values as if it has an N in it. I can't even explain where the N is, but I heard an N there. It's very strange stuff. Thanks to Sylvie Provost, Douglas Combs, Ben Downard, and Jennifer Cawley, who signed up on my website, joinpacman.com. It is the day of Trump's third indictment, and thus the coupon code is thrice indicted. Thrice indicted. A number many of us never expected to see. The failed former president indicted 3 times. We are awaiting Trump at the courthouse any moment. I think. Did we miss Trump arriving? I don't think so. But you'd think he would be there by now. It's all just very strange. I don't know if they brought him in some back entrance or something along those lines. Certainly didn't see it happen. Nobody knows. Perfect. Good. All right. Well, let's see if Fox has some idea of what's going on.
Was being indicted.
Trump is in the court. Okay. They must have brought him in through some back entrance. Trump is inside the courthouse for his third indictment. All right. So we did. I guess they didn't show it. The entire street was blocked off. Okay. Thanks to Ben for the super chat. Joanna says, if we're being honest with ourselves, he needs to be held without bail. He represents a flight risk, clear and present danger with his rabid base. I don't disagree. Haven't heard much from Pillow recently. Do you think he flipped? Asked Charlie. I genuinely don't know what's up with Pillow. I know my Pillow is basically hanging by a thread at this point and at risk of bankruptcy. So who on earth knows? Who on earth knows? Let's take a look at a little bit of the goings on surrounding the courthouse and see if we can get any videos of supporters. We already saw the statement from Trump's spokesperson, Alina Habba. Let's see if we have anything else here. Oh, here is the video. Okay, so Trump did arrive about 17 minutes ago. Fair. Let's see if they've interviewed any of the people that are around. I mean, listen, honestly, to go to this and to hang around, I don't know exactly who would do that. Doesn't seem like anybody's been interviewed there. No. All right. Complete violation of Trump's First Amendment rights. We've already debunked that. So it seems like not that much is happening on the ground as far as people showing up in support of Trump, I guess we would say, as strange as it. Like, what exactly are you supporting? It's all very odd. Michelle says, I just have to ask, with that crazy hair, does the carpet match the curtains? Oh, my goodness. We're going to move on from that. SG says, would you ever sell merch with inside jokes from the show? Like a t-shirt or a red hat that says, sir. We have made a decision, a conscious decision, to stop selling merch altogether. And honestly, here's the reason why we stopped selling merch. You sell a $25 t-shirt, you might make $5 profit. And 1 out of 10 either don't fit or arrive later than the person wanted or whatever. And now all of a sudden, I become a clerk where I'm handling returns for clothing. It's such a big distraction from the core thing we do, which is content production. It just didn't make sense. We stopped doing merch altogether. I'm out of the merch game, okay? The children's book is different because we don't do any of the fulfillment or the printing. We never touch the books. I don't even have any books. I got one copy here, gave it to my daughter, and then said we're done. So we're done with merch for the foreseeable future. People would write to me, David, I don't like the quality of the printing. Can you swap? Folks, I'm out. It's a no for me, dog. And for that reason, I'm out. Not a good business for me to be in. John says, your impression of Trump saying gotta settle made me laugh so hard. Oh, yeah. Trump was recently asked, how would you resolve the Ukrainian-Russian conflict in 24 hours? And Trump said, I'd call up Zelensky and I'd say, gotta settle. And I'd call up Putin and I'd say, gotta settle. And then it'd be resolved within 24 hours. It was really weird. Like, who could possibly think that would work? Vorse says cameras are not allowed in federal court. Only John Roberts can allow them. Ah, okay. Understood. Andrew says the right is such a money grab. Amazes me people don't see how much they're being scammed. Build the wall, Trump's legal issues. Yeah, it's almost like they want to be scammed. It's strange. It's strange. Descender Dragon says, David, sir, many people are saying this indicates strain in strong and pairs nicely with this beta male's indictment. With tears in my eyes, I say Obama. Love your work, David. Man, I don't know what some people are talking about. I don't know if this is Gen Z. And I just don't understand the lexicon anymore. The Movie Void says, hypothetically, if Trump had the choice to have all charges dropped but wouldn't be able to be candidate for office, do you think he'd accept? I think his ego is too big for him to accept that, truthfully. Hi, David. Is there any reason why they can't just seize all his funds and sue him into irrelevancy in lieu of jail time? Lawsuits are civil matters. Trump is accused of criminal wrongdoing, two totally different processes. Just not the way the legal system works. Simon says dumping in a 50 British pound or pound sterling super chat. Very much appreciate that. Thanks to everybody who is joining us. Trump's arraignment scheduled to start 9 minutes from now. Thanks to Melly Bean, Bernie on a Boat, and Lambert, as well as Gordon Z. Hall for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. I am flattered by the number of people signing up on my website right now. April Rhodes and Christine Temple, Alex Free, Desiree DeLong, and Edward Morehouse. 5 new members on the website, putting us at 128. Also, a huge thank you to Brian Steen, Jeremy Waters, Sean Greer, and Scott Griffith. Folks, I don't know that the website can keep up with this insanity, quite frankly. I think the website may be about to dump. Would be sad. Would be sad. Topher says Democrats and Republicans chucking each other in prison when in power. This is good for America. Topher, with all due respect, I see no evidence that that's what's happening. If that's your understanding of what's happening, I think you're either not paying attention or misunderstanding. Very, very much not what's happening. Joe says, thank you for covering this. Could you please also make a video about Israeli court fiasco? Other sources are not as objective, but I trust you. All right. James says, David, who do you think the 6th conspirator is? Co-conspirator? Is it Roger Stone? I honestly have no idea. I will tell you this. Michael Cohen, I interviewed him today. He speculates about who the 6th co-conspirator is. Mr. C. Brown says, is there a way to objectively look at Trump's defense team to see how they stack up against other lawyers at similar rate? I don't know that I'm equipped to do that, but it would certainly be an interesting thing to see legal experts do. That would be interesting. Mason says, my parents still stand up for Trump. It's honestly sickening and disturbing how warped misinformation has made them. I feel bad for you. I do. Lisa says, Trump keeps sending my deceased father fundraising letters. Oh, my goodness. What would you suggest I send back in the postage paid envelopes? I cannot suggest anyone commit mail fraud. Okay? So I'm not going to weigh in on that. As interesting as that question is, I don't want to be publicly suggesting mail fraud. Matthew says, thanks for all you do from your Canadian supporters. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. And Simon says, hello, mate from London. You're the boss. Best U.S. news ever. I'm not a betting man, but I bet £1,000 that Trump would lose that election. Won 500 quid. Best 500 quid I ever made. Is quid and pounds the same thing? Anybody know? It is. Okay. Got it. Well, that's interesting. Brad says, sir, a hypothetical. Trump takes a plea deal. He tells his cult followers it's to get the DOJ off his back. I understand even if convicted, he can still be president. The day he's inaugurated, he pardons himself. Yeah, that would work with federal charges. It would not work for state charges. So it's an idea. Thanks, John, for the super chat, and Randy. CHR says, gotta settle. Gotta settle. Do you think he will try to have an impromptu speech somewhere while in D.C.? No. Does anyone know if Trump is scheduled to speak tonight? Because often after the arrests, he will go and give some kind of a speech later on. Let's see if anything is scheduled. Doesn't look like it. Not seeing anything scheduled right now. Maybe he's gotten bored of the post-arrest speeches. Let's see what else people are saying via voicemail.
Hey, Dave. I like Michael Cohen as much as I hate Vivek Ramaswamy. You're great interview. I think Michael Cohen should be a politician. I think he should run for office. Something in New York, maybe even president. I mean, he might not have a shot at president, but I dig him a lot. I was just wondering, why didn't you ask him about Rudy Giuliani's quote about Jewish penis sizes? I mean, you and Cohen are the perfect two to discuss the size of a schmeckle. Curious to his thoughts and your thoughts on that. Not the biological ones, but just like the applicable ones. Anyway, shalom, brother. Have a great one.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but there is new audio transcript of Rudy Giuliani saying that Jews have small penises. He used a different word, one often used for the male chicken. And it's wacky stuff. And it's interesting because in his declaration, Rudy Giuliani seems to confuse Lamarckian, it's not even really evolution, biological changes versus natural selection. Anyway, I talk about it on the podcast today, so I don't want to like duplicate content from the podcast.
Hey, David, it's Jeannie from Florida. I've just been wondering what your thoughts were on the not named person that is also indicted. I think it was person number 6, maybe.
Don't know who it is. But Michael Cohen speculates. About that on my podcast today, which I think is super interesting.
Hi, David, longtime watcher of the show. I'm wondering if your book is apolitical enough to give to some family members with a young child who are a little on the conservative side.
So here's the deal. The content of my children's book is completely apolitical. There is a picture of a boy, a drawing of a boy named Ronald who looks like a kid version of Trump. Okay? So I know some people wrote to me and said, David, that was the wrong thing to do. You're making it too political for conservatives or whatever. Guys, I did the book the way I wanted to do the book. Okay? Someone gets it and they see the drawing of a stylized Trump as a kid and they don't like it. They can return the book. They can send me a nasty email, whatever. But I did the book the way I wanted to do the book. It's a little bit on the nose. I get it. But that's what it is. Okay? And I'm hearing from people with everything from 8-month-old kids all the way up to 10-year-olds that they love this damn book. And I mean, just look at some of these reviews. An engaging journey into the world of critical thinking, a bit shallow for the depth it could provide, but still 4 stars. I'll take that. Anyway, the book. It's an absolutely fantastic book, as you see here. Let's see if someone... See, this is the drawing. See this drawing? This is Trump. This is Ronald at his birthday party. It's stylized. Don't buy it if you don't like it, okay? We are trying to sell 10,000 copies total. We're at about close to 9,000 right now. I am confident that we are going to get there eventually, which is truly, truly incredible stuff. All right. I apologize that I've been neglecting the super chats. Let's get back to them. We are standing by Trump's arraignment starting right now. And we will see when he leaves the courthouse. Let's get to the super chats. Never been much into politics, but could listen to you for hours. Greetings from Luxembourg. Glassy. Thank you. My sister was just in Luxembourg. Said it was quite compelling. I've never been, but she said it was interesting. You said often after the arrests. Good grief. How is it possible anyone can say that about an American president? Yeah, you know, when Trump gets arrested, he tends to give a speech later that night. Yeah, that's the way it goes. It's pretty wacky, wild stuff. American politics is bonkers. Is a multi-party system not the solution? Is it even possible there? Having a Guinness here in your honor in Dublin. Thanks, Timo. Yeah, I would actually love a multi-party system. I would love a more representative system. I've laid this out in detail before. Is it possible? Yes. Is it possible without changing a whole bunch of different things about how our elections work? No. Nathan says, I deeply appreciate your work. Thanks for doing what you do. Hypothetical, would you support Jon Stewart for president 2024? Sure, if he was the nominee, sure. That'd be interesting. David, greetings from Cape Cod. Would you be interested or consider a collaboration with the Midas Touch Network? Their coverage has been good. Sure. I just don't know that they need me. I don't know. I mean, it sounds interesting. CLW says, why hasn't Trump been charged with treason, do you reckon? Very difficult to prove that. In a court of law. Accidentally sent $10 without typing a message. Here's another 10. Can I get an Obama? Also, huge fan of the world famous bonus show. Thank you. Simon says, yay, got there. Gave you the money. From Nolans originally. Oh, poor Whittle Trumpy. Gonna have to shout at his cell door. His toilet will, with tears in his eyes, say, sir. But, okay, this is getting a little bit edgy. I'm going to move away from that. Samuel says, wouldn't it be hilarious to see a Trump-Biden debate with Trump calling in from federal prison? Do you still think Trump will avoid jail time? Yes, I do think Trump will avoid jail time. I do. Al says, David Sir, been watching since 2015. Fabulous content. Thanks for your coverage tonight from Aberdeen, Scotland. Great to hear from you from Abilene. Okay, Trump's arraignment is underway. Let's listen.
Right now, he entered at about 3:52 p.m., so just under 10 minutes ago. He's wearing a blue suit, a red tie. He was flanked by his two attorneys, Todd Blanche and John Lauro, and Fox has confirmed that we expect him to plead not guilty to the 4 felony charges he's facing in this indictment. 3-hour obstruction charges, 3-hour conspiracy charges. 1 is obstruction. Now, before he entered that courtroom, a little less than an hour ago, his motorcade entered the garage here at the federal courthouse, and he was processed, so he was fingerprinted. There was no mugshot taken because the court says there's plenty of pictures of him to provide. He's not actually arrested, but he is obviously being processed. Now we wait for this court proceeding to get underway. At the time of our note from our producer, Jay Gibson, inside, the magistrate judge had not entered the courtroom. He'll go before a magistrate judge today, but the judge who will preside over this trial, a judge named Tanya Chutkan, 2014 Obama appointee, is different. She comes later. Meanwhile, before the former president entered the courthouse, but after he'd gone into the courthouse but not gone into court itself, Trump's illegal spokesperson, Alina Habba, came out and did a short gaggle with the press, Neil, and she said, among other things, that the former president is under siege like never before, saying that this is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate. She also took time to point to, as we have documented, the sort of pattern of news that relates to, say, Hunter Biden, and then the next day there's something pertaining to Trump's legal woes.
Yeah, we certainly, we heard her say that, and much of it did not make any sense. Let's listen to ABC's coverage.
And Mike Levine putting out reporting to our team right now saying that Trump has looked around a little bit, has talked to his attorneys, but has been rather silent, reserved. And David, unfortunately with federal court, there are no cameras in court, as we know, but we have seen that image before of Donald Trump at a defense table. We saw it at Manhattan, that one still image of Donald Trump there, rather quiet, rather reserved. A Donald Trump, David, quite frankly, that most people never get to see. But regardless, in all 3 incidents, and from our team's reporting that can see inside federal court right now, that Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that is sitting there, taking it all in, it all weighing on him, a silent Donald Trump. That is the Donald Trump that is the courtroom guy.
John Santucci describing what we have seen from the former president before, although we have yet to hear the full readout of his demeanor inside this courtroom, though we just heard from John and from our team reporting in that he is...
So this is expected to be 15 to 25-ish minutes, but we don't exactly know when it started per se and when it will end. But I believe that sometime in the next 25 minutes, by the bottom of the hour, Trump will be out and heading back to his plane. And we are going to monitor all of that. We will see if we get interviews with people on the ground. Why are they there? Who are they supporting? It's all very, very strange. GT asks via Super Chat, is it possible or likely that charges will be filed against Trump before the 2024 election? Yeah, they're being filed today. This is the 3rd indictment. All 78 counts so far have been filed before the 2024 election. I don't know if I misunderstand the question, but that's where we are right now. I want to send an extremely special thank you to Lucius Hain. Lucius just signed up on my website. We are an audience-supported program. I would love for you to sign up on my website. It's a very simple pitch. If you like the show, we give it to you commercial-free with an extra show every day. JoinPacman.com is where you sign up. It's dirt cheap. It really is dirt cheap. We just want people involved. We have a coupon code thrice indicted, which saves you 50%. Okay. This is like super, super, super simple stuff. All one must do is go to joinpacman.com. Once you are there, you could do monthly, you can do yearly. It's your call. You save when you do yearly, by the way. Coupon code thrice indicted, boom. And then incredible things happen. Okay. Absolutely incredible things. So consider it. And Lucius Hain, the latest person to avail himself of that. Let's listen to a couple of other voicemails here.
Hey, David. This is Oli from Dallas, long-time listener. So, Trump's been indicted 3 times. He's probably going to be indicted for a 4th time.
Probably.
So, I'm not sure if you've answered this question in the past, but do you think that it would benefit him politically if he just took a plea deal and I guess kept on going with the campaign? Or
this was brought up via Super Chat about 15 minutes ago. I actually think that there is something interesting to that idea. What is best for Trump politically? Take a plea deal, say I needed to get the DOJ off my back so I can run this election. I'm here to save you and save everyone. Please vote for me. If the plea deal doesn't land him in jail or prison, strategically, it's an interesting idea. Practically speaking, I don't know. I just don't even know that the timing is feasible for that in all three of these cases. I mean, there's a lot going on here. These cases will almost certainly extend beyond January of 2025 when the next president would be sworn in. So a lot of complications here, a lot of complications. Other super chats coming in. David, sir, I say this with tears in my eyes. I'm here to witness Trump's federal pounding in real time. Yeah, okay. I don't know that I'm big on that necessarily, but I'm glad you're here. You know, to the extent that you mean being pounded with charges, yes. When we joke about prison rape, it's kind of a no for me. To me, that seems part of like the failure of our prisons. But to the extent that you mean he's going to get hit with the charges, then yes, we're all here for that. Are you excited about the discovery of Piracetus colossus? Maybe the heaviest animal ever. I have not seen that. I have not seen anything about that yet. I'm going to look that up. Who paid for Donald to go to court today and how much did it cost? Do you know anyone who covers this type of info? I think Trump's just using campaign funds to fly around, to pay lawyers, etc. That's my understanding of the whole thing. Left of Liberal says, David, your show is by far the best progressive show on YouTube. You're definitely hotter than Brian Tyler Cohen. Oh no, shots fired. Shots fired. Sid says, sir, a guy with hotels that bear his last name owns a golf club, a billionaire, and access to different lawyers, is a victim of the two-tier justice system? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me either. Cleodora says there's no way Trump would ever accept a plea deal or a pardon because either one would require him to admit he did wrong, something his ego forbids him to do. Yossi says, greetings from Israel. I've been a fan of the show for a long time. I'd love for you to talk about Israeli politics at some point if you can, because the parallels are very obvious. Yeah, you know, whenever I talk about Israeli politics, very few people care. And a lot of people just become irate with me because it's such a volatile issue. I'm glad to talk about it. It just doesn't seem much of my audience is interested. Andrew says, if Trump takes a plea deal, won't he no longer be eligible to run for office anymore? No, my understanding is he would still be eligible. Deveron says, David, Sean here from Aberdeen, Scotland. Weird thing. I watched January 6th live on the YouTube stream. Here I am, hopefully watching justice being done. Thank you, Deveron. And that's Deveron's first super chat ever, which I seriously appreciate. Seriously appreciate. Thanks to some folks who continue signing up on my website, Wes Fox, Pierre Asproni, Lee Frampton, Nathan Schmidt, Hudson Markle, Brandon Katz, Harper Eichten, Lisa Birch Eisel, and Jacqueline Salis. Thank you all for signing up on my website. Very much appreciated. It is an incredibly historic day that we are facing today. Trump's arraignment is currently underway. We're expecting it to wrap sometime in the next 20 minutes, and then Trump will head on out, presumably back to the airport, back to his airplane, and back either to Bedminster or to Mar-a-Lago, or I don't know. Who knows where the guy is going to be going next.
Hey, David. Bring back memories today of January 6th, watching you. Just curious, when do you think we'll get our parents back from the cult? After the third conviction, or the third indictment, or the fourth indictment, or the fifth indictment?
Yeah, a lot of people have called in and written in saying, my parents are in the Trump cult. When are they going to get out of it? How many indictments will it take? I don't know that there's any number of indictments that will get some folks out of the cult. I really don't.
Hi, David. This is Michelle, big fan of the show. I wanted to know, would you be in agreement with if one of the agreements were if Trump were to plead, that one of the conditions were that he would not be able to run for president or he would have to relinquish his
A lot of folks have said the way to do this would be say to Trump, listen, no jail time, no prison time. Take a plea, plead guilty to a couple things, and you're barred from running for president. Would Trump accept that? Honestly, I don't even know if such a plea, it would be legal. I just don't know. I'm not saying it would or it wouldn't, but that's pretty remarkable stuff. I do not know whether that would be enforceable. I don't know whether it would be legal. There's people in the chat saying it wouldn't be, that it would be outside of existing law. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question, but I've not heard any kind of, detailed sort of legal explanation about it. And at the end of the day, Trump thinks he did everything right.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Exactly. Lodmott says, judging from the live broadcast, it seems like there's a few Trump supporters out there. I see 2 rather large Trump 2024 flags. Wonder how many of them actually showed up. Yeah, it's not like a huge turnout. It's not a huge turnout. There's one of the flags, as you say. David, whoa, I only meant in reference to charges. My comment had nothing to do with unfortunate things that may take place in our prison system. Okay, thank you for the clarification. I very much appreciate that. Brian Tyler Cohen is a snack. You are a well-balanced, healthy meal, says C. Collins. Wow. Things are getting dicey. Things are getting dicey. Thanks to Bugnish for the super chat. Was watching you when the insurrection happened. Seems fitting to watch you during this. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. I appreciate having you here. Okay. We need more studies on the association between Trump's cult and fundamentalist Christianity. There seems to be a strong correlation. There certainly does. There certainly does. I am not even going to name everybody who's signing up on my website because it's so many people, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Folks, thanks to the 13 new members putting us at 175. Thrice indicted is the code. Another voicemail about this came in.
Hey, David. I sent you multiple voicemails about this, but you never seem to be answering them, so I'm hoping you're going to answer it sooner on your license that you're doing right now.
I'm doing it right now. Here's what you have to understand. We have 2,600 unlistened to voicemails. I quite literally cannot keep up with the voicemail. So let's do it right now. I don't know what the question is, but let's listen.
So I'm going to ask you this once again. Why did you not mention gotaways during your Ted Cruz Mayorkas video you made a few months ago?
What? Gotaways during the Ted Cruz Orcas video?
You mentioned calories, but you do not mention gotaways. And
I mentioned calories. I do not know what this is about.
Gotaways are important, or a very important part in that situation, but you refused. You cut that part out of your video. So why?
What did I cut? I didn't cut anything. What is this person talking about?
Why did you manipulate your viewers by cutting the gotaway part Ted Cruz mentioned in that video? So I hope you answer that question. I really do. And if there's a good reason you didn't answer it, then please say it, okay?
I have no reason not to answer your question other than I don't know what you're talking about. Ted Cruz and orcas, and there were calories and gotaways? I just don't even know what they're talking about. Oh, someone think they said beavers. I have no idea. Honestly, maybe I haven't answered the question because I don't understand it. Welcome to Try Gamer, re-upping their Twitch Prime subscription, 15 months. Also, thanks to Dark Souls for the Twitch Prime subscription. We are standing by for Donald Trump's departure from the courthouse. He is in the courthouse right now, and we are going to see him depart very soon, very, very soon. Let's listen to the reporting from ABC.
Writing, presidents are not kings. David? The moment you learn more, Aaron, raise your hand. We'll come right back to you for any kind of reporting from inside that courtroom. I want to bring in Asha Rangappa, Associate Dean, former Dean at Yale Law School, current law professor, former FBI Special Agent.
Asha's a friend of the show. We follow each other. We've exchanged some pleasantries.
What case will this be to prosecute on the part of Jack Smith? And then on the flip side, how difficult will it be to defend the former president?
Well, based on the evidence that's in the indictment, I think that he's got plenty of witnesses and documentary evidence at his disposal. And we have to remember that unlike the Mar-a-Lago case, this won't encounter the same kind of procedural hurdles because it doesn't involve things like classified documents. So I think that he has the potential to move forward on this. And I think this one is the most important indictment that we have seen so far.
I agree.
Remember that the Manhattan one is from before Trump became president. The Mar-a-Lago case is after he left office. This is especially significant because this concerns his actions when he was president of the United States. He was using the levers of power to try to weaponize the people under him, the Department of Justice, the military. It's an abuse of power. And I think in many ways it has a through line from impeachment to now, because you'll remember that many of those Republicans who refused to vote to convict him said that the criminal justice system is the right venue for this, and here we are. And this is an important historical record for whoever occupies the Oval Office moving forward.
Asha, stick with me here. We know the judge has just entered the courtroom. All rise could be heard. Proceedings expected to begin at any moment.
Wow.
This is about 20 minutes now after the former President Donald Trump arrived in that courtroom. Again, the judge is now in the courtroom. Asha, I want to bring this back to you. You just laid out a scenario by which Jack Smith could try to move very quickly to prosecute. That again, this doesn't involve, boxes and boxes of classified documents like Mar-a-Lago, which could get delayed in the discovery process and in motions to the judge. This case is clearer cut. Now, having said that, what do you think would be the former president's defense, and how difficult will it be to defend him?
I think that it looks like from his public statements, he is testing out a few different defenses. There's the advice of counsel defense, that he was just relying on the advice of his lawyers.
Right.
And the indictment makes clear that he was an active participant in this scheme, and that he knew that he hadn't won the election. That I don't know that will go very far, especially because he would have to testify in his own defense and discuss the conversations that he had with his counsel, which would, of course, waive attorney-client privilege. The other defense that he seems to be floating is that he truly believed that he had won the election. And again, this is really a non-starter for the kinds of charges that are here, because what is being criminalized is not the lying, it's the use of illegal means and intimidation to overturn the election. The analogy here would be
verbatim what I said earlier.
Believe that your bank account, contains $10,000 more than it actually does. You can use all kinds of means. You can talk to the manager. You can take them to court. You can't go with a gun to the bank and rob it just because you think that you should have more money. And so I think these defenses are going to not get very far. It will be very difficult for him, I think, to defend against these charges, especially if many of these co-conspirators end up cooperating with the special counsel.
Right. And again, Asha, that goes back to the point that Jack Smith spelled out, that the former president had every right to speak publicly, to even talk about, to share falsehoods if that's what he wished. But that the way to argue this is through lawful means. Jack Smith said he did a number of different ways, and in many cases in front of Trump-appointed judges. More than 60 cases we've reported out back during and right after the 2020 election, and that they did not rule in his favor, saying that there was...
So essentially making many of the points that we made at the top of the stream, and the defenses that seem like the ones Trump is floating so far don't exactly make too much sense. They don't exactly make too much sense as far as being strong defenses. Thanks to Iran Hegarty for signing up on my website, joinpacman.com. Your new member number 186 today. Let's do some super chats. Let's do some voicemails as we await Trump. The judge is in the courtroom, and this should really only be a few more minutes. Cocoa Puff says, great news, but I'm so worried that if this indictment fails, it will energize his base. It's always a risk, but the evidence leads here. That's what we need to remember. Woza Cardoza says, I dig watching American history unfold right in front of my eyes, but why does it have to be with this guy? And by this guy, I mean Trump. Well said. Okay, I think we already looked at that one. David, can you please address the allegations that Sam Seder is your child's godfather? And can you please tell us your opinion on Sam's luscious beard? So I haven't seen Sam Seder's show for a bit, so let's check out his beard. Let's see what we've got here. As far as the beard goes, I'm actually curious about this. Let's see videos. And let's see what Sam's beard is looking like. Oh, that's a solid beard. That's nicely done. That is better than anything I can grow. That's for damn sure. All right, so yes on the beard. As far as Sam being my child's godfather, Jews don't do godparents. And so with both Sam and I being of the Jewish persuasion, it is a no. It is a no on godparenting. But we'll look into that very strongly. We can look into that for sure. Jason says, isn't it against the law for him to use campaign finances to fund travel to and from the courthouse? I thought so, but apparently not. What about all the money he owes for public safety costs in states during his rallies? Yeah, he's just not paying that. I mean, it's insane that the answers are this simple. Might be illegal. He seems to be getting away with it. He's not paying the bills. It's a total mess. Andy from San Francisco says, love your show. Of all the co-conspirators, which ones do you think will flip the soonest? Maybe Eastman. I don't know. Maybe Eastman. So will he actually go to prison or is he going to get away? Yeah, I don't think he's going to prison. I've said it maybe a couple dozen times today. I do not think he will end up in prison. And thanks to George Carberry for the first super chat ever. Important stuff as we stand by for Trump. Thank you to Lynn McCarthy for signing up on my website. Your new member number 187 today. Let's listen to a couple of other voicemails coming in.
Hey, Dave. You mentioned that you had 2,600 unlistened to voicemails and that they were impossible to keep up with. I mean, if you just blocked Whitney's phone number, I mean, that should take care of the problem right there.
All right. That very, very poor use of speakerphone, so I'm not even going to address that on principle.
David, sir, regarding your silly-looking lopsided hair, I have to let you in on a little trade secret from my days in the Army, because I did not like showering in the morning either, but I had to have some good-looking hair while I was in the Army, and my go-to product, I'll let you in on this, is called AmPro Pro Style Clear Ice Ultra Hold Protein Styling Gel. You can get it on the Amazons for about $7.
Okay.
And let me tell you, this stuff does not leave your hair flaky. You can put it in completely bone dry.
Bone
and then
dry.
you can comb out your hair, and you won't have, helmet hair where it's all crusty and dusty. And I use that stuff every single day.
All right. I will investigate that. Zalel says, I have tears in my eyes. Where are his followers? I would be rioting if I thought my political leader was being unjustly persecuted. Not too many Trump supporters at the arrest. 45 is a flight risk, says Don Luke Picard. Confiscate his passports. Aggressive. Very, very aggressive. Thanks to Jason Sickmeyer for gifting a subscription. All right, folks, here's the deal. If you want a free membership to my website, go to davidpakman.com/free membership and just put in your email address and your name. If you want a free membership to my website, go to davidpakman.com/free membership. If you want to give someone a membership for free, go to joinpakman.com, check the box that says this is a gift. Super simple. Super, super simple. Okay. If you want one, davidpakman.com/free membership. If you want to give one, joinpakman.com, check the box that this is a gift, and we will make it all happen. We've got a list of about 800 people waiting for free memberships, and it is truly remarkable, remarkable stuff. All right, let's listen where we are. Any moment, this arraignment will be over. Trump will be leaving.
At the judge's request just moments ago, Donald Trump offered his full name in court, saying, yes, Your Honor, Donald J. Trump, John. He also gave his age in court, 77. The judge is now, we are told, reading the charges to the former president, Donald Trump. again, this is where it starts to come into focus, just the historic nature of what it is we're watching unfold. And John, you and I looked to each other when we heard how long the former president had been left to wait for the federal magistrate. Again, this is the judge, at least in this initial phase, who's presiding before it turns over to Judge Tanya Chutkin in the future. But just the idea that the former president sitting there waiting, has to spell out his name, confirm his age, 77. That's also a very harsh reminder to the former president himself that this is serious.
He had to sit at that table for 20 minutes, David. He had to sit at that table for 20 minutes waiting for somebody else. Donald Trump never waits for anything. He's always the biggest guy in the room. He comes in and everybody's waiting until he gets there. And it's, let's go. He had to wait for 20 minutes. And then, of course, the familiar call we hear every time we're in a courtroom and the judge comes in, all rise. Donald Trump, like everybody else in that courtroom, had to stand up and, give deference.
It's a two-tiered justice system. They made Trump wait 20 minutes. Nathan Schmidt says, I just figured out the voicemail about Ted Cruz. It was gotaways when Cruz shouted at Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Okay, I don't remember the segment. I'm going to have to go back and review, but that's interesting that you were able to decipher it. Okay, super chats continuing to come in. Can we find out that if you're convicted of espionage, it prevents you from holding any public office? Yeah, we're going to look into it with a lawyer, with a legal lawyer, I would say. If he goes to prison, would he be upset mixing up Melania conjugal visit with Ivanka's visit? That could get confusing for Trump, certainly. That could get very, very confusing. George says, love your show. Great coverage. Appreciate the honesty with which you deliver. Appreciate that, George. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, as we are about to get to the stroke of 4:30 on the East Coast, 1:30 in the West, Donald Trump is in the courtroom. The charges are being read. He will be entering a not guilty plea, may already have done it. Then Trump will leave, get back in the car, go to the airport, get in the plane, and then go who knows where. Thanks to Deborah Mann for signing up at joinpacman.com. Really appreciate it. Super chats are just pouring in. Gordon says, there are 8 unclaimed David Pakman Show website membership gifts in my account, sir. Thanks, Gordon. We continue to give them out. Some people, when they get notified that they've been given a free subscription, they assume that it's like some kind of spam, so they don't claim it. It's a real issue that we're having, and we're going to do everything we can to remedy that. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, people wondering what's Fox News up to. Let's listen.
Georgia saying if he gets charged down here, which we're standing by within the next couple of weeks, we think would be the window, you're going to get a mugshot down here in Georgia. That is going to be, as much as Dana said, he's got to be uncomfortable in this proceeding today. It's a place where he's powerless, basically sitting in the courtroom, to have to go through what many criminal defendants, people facing allegations have to do and get a criminal mugshot would be something that would be very unpleasant for this president, former president, to have to do down in Georgia. But he's at the mercy of that proceeding as we now wait to see how that happens. He was kind of flippantly, on social media earlier today saying one more indictment and then that ensures my reelection. He knows there's possibly another one coming. So, he's joking about a fourth one. And while it does help him politically, we always say in the fundraising, in the polls, it feeds into his argument. I'm here for you. They're coming through me to try to get to you. I'm here fighting for you. We all of us know the real gravity, and he most certainly does too, about the legal charges and what they mean in the long term, or maybe in the short term for him. We've had that timeline up all today about the state trials that he's facing, the federal trials that will come as well. And as you've mentioned earlier today, these include potentially, upon conviction, decades in jail. They include fines that would not be of worry to, most criminal defendants in his position. It's really the time behind bars. But I do think appeals, as Professor Turley mentions.
All right. So Fox News doing a whole thing. Trump already entering the plea of not guilty and expected to be leaving the courthouse seemingly momentarily. And we are watching all of that. Here is the view outside of the courthouse. There is a lot of action without a doubt, Okay, people on Twitch saying that Twitch is glitching and can you watch anywhere else? First of all, I would just refresh. Usually refreshing fixes it, but you can watch on YouTube. You can also watch on Facebook. Thank you to Your Billion for the Twitch Prime subscription. Welcome to everybody on Twitch. Very much appreciating that. Let's look at some more super chats that are coming in. Do you think that Ronald McDonald friendship is completely ruined at this point? I don't know what that means. His friendship with who? Fran Cam says, oh, the YouTube and Twitch streams where you want to make money and everyone else who wants to make money is bad. For some reason, I don't think I have that on this. Oh, here it is.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Brandon asks, would you rather Trump in office again to stabilize the economy again or Biden to ruin it even more, seeing as we are in a silent depression right now? It's a depression so silent that every economic indicator is doing fine. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Pull that on some other show, okay? Not here. LDP says, FYI, not only can you run for president while in jail, it's been done. Eugene Debs ran for the Socialist Party, was arrested for distributing flyers to dodge the World War I draft, going against the Espionage Act. Interesting. George says, why do you believe Trump won't serve jail time? Okay. I don't have any special reason to think Trump isn't going to serve jail time. I just don't think it's the way it's going to work out. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on that. I realize I'm having a major hair issue. People are telling me as if I don't know. I'm aware. David, your hair alone makes you way hotter than Brian Tyler Cohen. Just saying. That's Elizabeth. Oh, man. Is Brian streaming? We often stream the same stuff. Let's take a look and see if we're both live right now. Oh, it looks like Brian's not live. Oh. All right. Well, anyway, if people want, we should do something funny with Brian and this whole thing of who's hotter. Oh, God, the anti-Semites. God, you know, how is it that within seconds of Brian being mentioned, people are in the chat saying, oh, you two Jews. Give me a break, guys. Give me a break. Brian refuses to fix it. Fix what? Anyway, all right, let's leave Brian alone. I don't think we need to do anything to Brian. Brian's got enough problems dealing with his own trolling messages. Think there's any chance he gets moved to West Virginia like he wants? No. Have you seen the inflatable Trump baby outside the courthouse? I didn't know it was at this courthouse, but I am familiar with the inflatable Trump baby. Thanks, Jody. Sorium says, I'm so frustrated with the Republican Party, I would rather have Trump than DeSantis. Many people would. Most Republicans would. So you believe Trump will ever do time behind bars? I believe he will be convicted and serve the rest of his days at Mar-a-Lago. I think that's more plausible than Trump ends up behind bars. I really do. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. All right, here is Juan leaving a voicemail.
David, it's Juan here.
Yeah.
I have a serious question to ask. How do you distinguish or discern a politically motivated lawsuit from a legitimate lawsuit?
Okay. We are not even talking about lawsuits here. So again, sometimes I get these questions. Does Juan think that here this is about a lawsuit? Lawsuits are civil. We're talking about criminal charges here. Criminal.
Oh, whether or not something is political versus real. I ask that because it's becoming harder and harder to believe anything when it comes.
All right. Listen, I don't know what lawsuits you're talking about. Maybe you mean, I don't know. Maybe you mean these, you think that these criminal charges or lawsuits or something like that. I'm not sure. All right, let's listen to the latest as Trump is moments away from leaving the courthouse.
That in this federal case because he received that target letter that essentially says as much. What would the case be in Georgia? We see some of the Georgia evidence is actually in this federal indictment. It's in there. But what would the case be?
Based off of what I think is at least publicly been reported, having to do essentially with the call that he made to the Georgia Secretary of State saying, find me 11,780 votes.
Right.
And the argument was that was a solicitation to...
Do you guys remember that?
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
or to either put out in the sphere in some sort of fraudulent way that there was voter fraud when there had not been. We'll have to see exactly what the contours of her case are. And if, in fact, the former president is indicted, if anybody else in his sphere is indicted. We've talked about how we think the special counsel likely did not include other people here, perhaps to make the case go faster. Does the Georgia DA go to the same way? It's not clear. She might not be facing the same sort of time constraints or have the same considerations.
We have the next court date. It's August 28th, and the judge has allowed the president to waive his personal appearance if he wants to. It's interesting. August 28th is his next court date in this matter. August 23rd is the first Republican debate.
I was just going to say.
Unclear, though, if he's going to waive his appearance there, too.
That's right. I talked to a source close to the...
All right, so we are very much at the end of this appearance. The next court date has already been set. Any moment now, we are going to see Donald Trump leave the courthouse, and we are, of course, tracking all of that extremely closely. Let's see here. Oh, people are calling in. Everybody's going wild.
Hey, David, this is Lauren in Austin. I'm wondering if Trump is convicted and elected, will he be able to view classified documents? Seems the security clearance is pretty tough on that. By the way, you maybe more importantly, better looking and better sounding than Ben Shapiro.
Wow. Okay, I'll take that. I'm more interested in a rivalry with Shapiro than with Brian Tyler Cohen. You know, we're on the same side very much. I think I've said this before. Brian's a good guy. As some of you know, I basically do not speak on the phone. I don't touch my phone. My phone is on silent like all day. And sometimes I'll go weeks without even speaking on the phone. No one calls me. I communicate with people via other means. Like the only person in my personal life who will randomly call me is Brian. I'll happen to see my phone and it'll say, Brian Tyler Cohen, and I'll pick up and he'll launch right into something. He always has an agenda, and I say that in the most positive way. He'll go, you know, that Ramaswamy interview, what is going on? What is going on with this guy? That's an example. He didn't actually call me this week about that. Essentially, one of the few people I actually speak to on the phone, because he'll just call. When something's on his mind, he'll just call, which is a funny thing. Anyway, the Ben Shapiro stuff. All right, I'll take it. Big Bad Mama says, David, do you think Soros, Obama, Hillary's emails, bad hombres, or Hunter Biden's laptop are behind Trump's indictment? I think all of it, as well as Killary. Remember, Killary World War III is arguably responsible for almost all bad things happening in the world. David, I absolutely love your show. I watch it every single day. I look forward to your programming. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Jordan says hello from Sydney, Australia. Popcorn storage over here. David, sir, out of all the co-conspirators, which one is your favorite co-conspirator? Rudy Giuliani for sure. 100%. Rudy Giuliani is my favorite co-conspirator. H.S. Arol says, is anyone really surprised Trump has multiple criminal charges against him while he was in office? Since he's a lifelong criminal. Yeah, a lot of people are reacting by saying Trump's been arguably committing crimes his whole life, but enough people started paying attention when he became president that now it's having repercussions, which is quite an analysis, I would say, really. And probably accurate. David, if Trump is convicted and broke his will if Trump is convicted and broke, will his property be seized by government if? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Can't think of anything to say. Wanted to send you some money. Keep up the good work, man. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Ty says, I was wondering hold on. Looks like the motorcade is moving. Since Trump will be under oath, do you think he'll still spit nonsense saying he actually won or some Ray Epps conspiracy thing? Almost certainly. Almost certainly. A whole lot of juice says David and Brian Tyler Cohen are both good looking, but David has a slight edge. If I'm being honest, I'd say Destiny is the hottest out of all of you. Yes, the most notorious Cuban American gaming / political streamer and debater, Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bonnell Goranson II, is way better looking than Brian or I. All right, it looks like Trump is now leaving the courthouse. Let's listen.
Very stark and immediate example of the collision of these criminal cases and the campaign for president. We're seeing it already in the final days of August, the first hearing in this case, which arguably is the more significant when we look back at U.S. history. Never before have we seen a former president charged criminally at the federal level with trying to overturn an election to try to hold on to power in the White House. The special counsel alleging that Donald Trump knew that he had lost the election. That is what these 4 counts stem from. The obstruction counts obviously have to do with the certification of the election. And the other key part of this prosecution will be the fake electors scheme. And in the 45-page indictment, which certainly doesn't lay out all of Jack Smith's evidence, we wouldn't expect that would be the case, but he does lay out evidence that he believes that directly links former President Trump to that scheme to somehow come up with different electors to represent those states so as to represent different outcomes than actually what played out. I want to bring in Rick Klein because, Rick...
It's called fraud, as we've talked about many, many times before. Starting to see movement. It is believed that any moment Donald Trump is indeed going to be leaving the courthouse. As you can see, a lot of action here, just so much action outside the courthouse. Let's listen to how Fox is handling this.
I don't think well by this current Supreme Court. I don't know how it goes in this courtroom or in the appellate court, but just by reading how these justices have looked at other cases, I think the Trump team probably looks on appeal like they sit pretty good. That doesn't take away from the seriousness of this issue, what he faces, the years in jail if he's convicted. All of these things are real. But there is an appeals process here that we should also put in the mix that eventually, potentially, ends up in the Supreme Court.
Wild stuff. I want to break away from the panel, and thank you, David Spunt. Now, he was in the courtroom when all of this was going on. He joins us now. David, what was it like in there?
Well, Neil, you know, it's over right now. It lasted probably about 20 minutes or so. Former President Trump walked in, waited for about 20 minutes for the magistrate judge. She's not going to be the judge that's actually running the show for the trial and for the next couple hearings, but he waited 20 minutes or so for the magistrate judge. He entered a plea of not guilty on all 4 counts. He stood up himself after he was sworn in. He was very stoic throughout most of the time he was there. He was talking to his attorney, Todd Blanche, just a few times. Also seated at the table was John Lauro, his attorney in this case. I did happen to notice that he looked over a few times at Jack Smith, the special counsel. He was probably maybe 20 feet away from Jack Smith, looked over at Jack Smith a few times. Jack Smith kept looking forward, did not appear to make any direct eye contact with the former president. Jack Smith also was looking at members of his team and talking with them and conferring with them.
That'd be a pretty interesting room to be in.
This is his 3rd indictment in about 4 months. He pleaded not guilty, as I said, to all 4 counts. He looked very serious as the charges were read to him and as the prison sentences were read to him if he were found guilty, up to 20 years in prison in some cases. He looked very serious at that point. And the next hearing is going to be August 28th at 10 o'clock in the morning here in Washington, D.C. The magistrate judge said that she would waive the appearance for President Trump if he was not able to make it. So at this point, it's not clear if he's going to come or it's just going to be his attorneys. And that's pretty much what you have. We're at a courtroom right now, a court building that's just a stone's throw from the U.S. Capitol, a few blocks from the White House. And right now we're told that the motorcade is getting ready and the former president is getting ready to head to Reagan National Airport and fly back to New Jersey. Neil?
David, we're getting reports that the president was indeed processed by the U.S. Marshal's Office before any of this went down. They took his fingerprints, some personal information. They weren't saying anything about a mugshot taken. I would assume that's because he's probably among the most recognizable people on the planet. But what can you tell us about that?
No mugshot taken. Typically in federal courts, they don't take mugshots. They never release mugshots in the federal system. No mugshot taken for the exact reason you said. They have plenty of images of him. And this went very similar to what happened in Miami, which is another federal case. He was fingerprinted. He said today on his social media platform that he was going to be arrested technically speaking, he was not arrested today. He was appearing and answering a summons from the court. He was in the custody of the U.S. Marshals, but no FBI agents were involved. He was not handcuffed. He didn't have his hands behind his back. He was with his team. You saw a couple of aides that are with him frequently in his Secret Service detail. But while he was in the building, he was in the custody of the U.S. Marshals and had to do exactly what they said. And he stood up when the judge told him to stand up. She asked him his name. She asked him his age. She asked him if he took any medications in the last 24 hours. He said no. And he remained pretty stoic throughout the entire thing, Neil.
Fascinating.
This is amazing. I guess we are getting used to this, aren't we, David? David, thank you very much. David Spunt.
Yeah, I mean, an alleged crime spree of a man. Certainly, you start getting used to it. Any moment, expecting Donald Trump to leave and then make his way to his plane and eventually back to one of his homes. Super chats continue to come in. Essinger asks me whether I'm a Bionicle fan. Not only am I not a fan, I don't even know what you're talking about. Don't know what that is. Starting to see a lot of activity here around the courthouse. All sorts of characters awaiting Trump's exit, as you can see. Looks like I don't even know what we're looking at here. Let's see if we can figure it out.
Here come the police officers as Trump starts to leave the courthouse and get in his motorcade back toward the airport to leave Washington, D.C.
Well, we're certainly seeing something here. We're seeing something. Other super chats. David, who was the brains of the fake electors scheme? I don't think it was one person. Seems it was Trump, Giuliani, Powell, Eastman, maybe others. It seems like there were many people involved in that. Okay, I think we already read all of these. Okay, so we already looked at that. All right, just making sure I'm not missing anything. Want to make sure we're staying on top of it all. Here's another voicemail.
Hi, David. My name is Hector. Big fan of the show. I have a question about Donald Trump's upcoming criminal trials in 2024.
Yeah.
You've mentioned before the article that suggests Biden could outlive Trump. What do you think would happen if Trump were to die of natural causes before he is held accountable of his crimes? And how do you think it could affect the overall political landscape? Do you think he would be made into a martyr of sorts?
Well, either way, they are martyring Trump. We already know that they are martyring Trump. The question of whether Trump simply dies of natural causes before the resolution of these cases is an interesting one. My understanding is, and lawyers in the chat can confirm, that if that happened, the cases against Trump are essentially dropped, right? I think it is... Prosecution would usually say, given the circumstances, it is no longer in the interests of the state to continue these cases. Is that basically what we would expect to happen in such a scenario? Can't prosecute a dead person, says Hobo with a shotgun. Hobo with a shotgun is actually a trial lawyer, shockingly. The interest of justice. And no, they are conspiracy cases. Yeah, given that they are conspiracy cases involving multiple people, maybe the prosecution of the others does continue. Okay, well, certainly an interesting scenario, which we will follow very, very closely. Thank you to Dave Harrington, who just gifted 20 YouTube memberships. Thank you, Dave. I so appreciate it. Just a reminder, if you're joining us, we have the new coupon code Thrice Indicted. We all know what it means. The best way to support our work, and I really do mean it, is to go to joinpacman.com. You can do monthly or you can do yearly. Hit the sign up button. Under the coupon code, type Thrice Indicted. Thrice Indicted saves you 50%. Look at that. 224 people so far have signed up either via Twitch or on the website. It is stunning stuff. Obviously, the coupon code is not broken. You saw me just use it. Welcome to Shoplifting Empath as well. Twitch Prime subscription. I appreciate that. MIT UCLA says, oh, here goes the motorcade. Why isn't Ali Alexander part of the conversation? Not yet, but in general, I thought he was behind the inception of J6. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's going on with him. Let's see if we can get a better view of what's happening with the motorcade. People reacting to something that's going on. It looks as though the motorcade is now on the move. Yes, here it is. The motorcade is on the move. Trump heading back to the airport. And I think it's a very short ride. They said he's going to Reagan National. Let's see how long of a ride that is. Probably 10 minutes. Let's see. Roughly at the Capitol, D.C. to Reagan National Airport. And obviously, with the benefit of the motorcade, it would not take nearly as long to get there. Should expect it to be 13-minute ride in traffic. But you're kind of clearing traffic the way that they're doing it. So probably 10 minutes and Trump will be back at his airplane. Thanks to Danielle Art for gifting 25 subscriptions on Twitch. Let's go for 300 just while we're here. And big thanks to Jan Jensen or Jan Jensen. It's hard to tell from how it's written which one it is, for signing up at joinpacman.com. Donald Trump on his way back to the airport, and then we'll fly back to from where he came. A music addict says, sir, if Trump gets convicted and gets house arrest, could he be prohibited from running since he won't be able to fulfill his duties from Mar-a-Lardo? Honestly, no. I still think even under house arrest, Trump could be president. LaRue Brown with $100 super chat. How did this happen? He did everything right, and yet they indicted him.
I did everything right, and they indicted me.
Yep. Hey, David, what do you think about the upcoming Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis debate? Asks Gabe. I have a full segment on today's show about that. And I think it's going to be super interesting. As many of you know, I think Gavin Newsom has serious political potential, potential. Mark Poisson and Scott Fernandez have just signed up on my website as Donald Trump makes his way back to the airport. Expecting him there in about 10 minutes. Voicemails continue to come in.
Hey, David, this is Carlos Hebdo. I made a few comments on your YouTube page or your YouTube show. The thing is, well, remember when you did those off-color remarks about people not praying hard enough? I actually supported you on that. But lately you have been making...
I don't even know that they were off color. I think they were fine. Just people misinterpreted it. I freaked out and deleted it.
Less and less sense. And people like Dan Crenshaw has been making more and more sense, matter of fact. Remember when you were saying also that no kids or adolescents are getting surgery for gender affirming care?
Never said that.
It seems that that's not the case.
This is one of those things where people call up and they make rough statements on Jewish. No, people call me up and then they attack me and say things I never said were wrong. So this is a perfect example. This, by the way, this voicemail goes on 2 additional minutes. I'm not going to subject you to that because that's a lot. That's a lot. But this caller said, David, when you said that no adolescents are getting gender affirming surgery, you were wrong. Now, I never said that. What did I say? I said that prepubescent girls are essentially never getting double mastectomies. And almost by definition, if you're prepubescent, there are no breasts to remove. That's what I said. Criticize me if I'm wrong for what I actually said. Adolescents aren't getting gender affirming surgery versus prepubescent girls are essentially never getting double mastectomies. Completely different statements, okay? If what I actually said was wrong, give me the data, but otherwise, get off my voicemail line, okay? It's so boring to have to defend claims I never made. Claims I never made. Don't take the bait. Right, exactly. Mishka says, we record completely freely improvised songs you'll think are pre-composed, but this time in history is as weird as any of Mishka's improvised stories. Okay. Interesting. Nick, David, sobs, would you sell a crying baby doll that says I did everything right and they indicted me? Chances he has another event tonight. As far as I know, Trump's not doing a speech tonight. the doll that says this
I did everything right and they indicted me.
is a pretty damn good idea. If under house arrest, if he plays golf, will he then go to prison since he technically leaves the house? I assume that they will negotiate it such that he could play golf as long as he's at his own house. I think that they would. Thanks to Randy Bright for signing up on my website with the coupon code Thrice Indicted. Also, thanks to Snordzy, who just re-upped the Twitch Prime subscription. Very much appreciate that. Let's continue with voicemails as Trump is very close to the airport.
Hey, David, Andrew from California. I was just thinking about the way that Trump is running his campaign and essentially platforming on we're going to get the Democrats and, lock them up. And he's been doing it basically since 2015.
Yep.
Can you imagine if Biden was running like that? Like Biden took a very, he's pretty much not commenting on any of the Trump stuff that's going on.
Yeah, which by the way, I agree with. Now people are like, oh, Biden won't say a word. What, is he guilty of something? It's totally appropriate that Biden say nothing.
Can you imagine if for the 2024 election, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to lock up Trump. It's going to be great. And he was saying that. What kind of political poop storm would there be from the right over that?
Yeah.
Versus the total lack of anything that we're really seeing as they talk about, actually locking up their political enemies. Anyway, great day today. Thank you very much.
I agree completely. If Joe Biden was running on locking up political enemies, listen, he didn't run on it, and they're still claiming that everything happening to Trump is Biden trying to lock up his political enemies. So it's all crazy. It's all genuinely crazy stuff. BuzzTel is asking, David, sir, how do you think Trump would end the war in Ukraine? He would just call Putin and go, gotta settle. And then he'd call Zelensky and say, gotta settle. He told us how he would do it. It's an incredible plan. Really an incredible plan. The David Pacman from the oh God. David Pacman from the future says our interview with Anna Kasparian was better than all 5 indictments. And they have an aged picture of me, aged by AI, as their profile image, which happens to look a lot like my dad, interestingly. Wow. That is really crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff. Xavier Harrison and Marius Sokolowski have signed up at joinpacman.com and push us to 257 new members today. The Trump motorcade now seemingly exiting the highway, very close to Reagan National, a trip I have done any number of times before. Where exactly are they actually? Let's see exactly where they are. They're getting onto 395 from sort of roughly the U.S. Capitol area. Let's see where we're at. 395 and then right across. Okay. Yeah. It looks like they're off 395 already. What is going on? Is this some other DC? And then you can actually see the metro there going over. I can't figure out for the life of me where exactly they are. Anybody know? Anybody who lives in DC recognize this? This is very strange. Very, very strange. All right, let's move back. People are asking for a different feed. Okay, we have a different feed here, and looks like we are. Are they already at the airport? They may already be at the airport. Trump to speak at airport. Oh, we're about to hear from Trump. Trump will be speaking now. Excellent. We are about to hear from the failed former president, now thrice indicted. He is going to make some kind of a declaration at the airport. And I look forward to it. Jersey Central says, I really wonder how this country will react to this news, hoping for the best for everyone. We're kind of seeing the reaction. It's not great. It's not great. Deborah Jackman is our newest member with the coupon code Thrice Indicted. Deborah, your new member number 258 today. I want to again remind people, please subscribe on YouTube, okay? We are pushing our way to 2 million subscribers. There's 20,000 of you here. I know from the data, tons of the people that watch the live streams are not subscribed. Consider, especially if you're leaving, hitting that subscribe button because it really does help us. This is a live count of the number of subscribers. And as you can see, we're close to 2 million, but we're not yet there. We're not yet there. And my belief is that with your help, we are soon going to be there. Look at this thing. It's rolling like a slot machine. Wow. Wow. A lot certainly happening there as we are moments away from hearing from Donald Trump here. Are these the same? This one seems to be further ahead, making its way towards the tarmac.
And for those of us who know Washington well, we all feel like we're essentially going to the airport here on a rainy summer afternoon in Washington. There you see the planes off in the distance. So we're just moments away from seeing whether or not Donald Trump will make any sort of statement before he boards that plane heading back to Bedminster. One last question for you, Catherine, then we'll let you go and gather any more reporting you might be able to get your hands on. But what was the overall demeanor of Donald Trump? We've now watched this play out in a number of different cases.
Indeed.
This one, of course, its place in history and the legal consequences largely believed to be much more significant than the others. What was his demeanor in court today?
Absolutely, and I will say during those 25 minutes, his demeanor was one of that he talked to his lawyers the whole time. It was fascinating to see. There was very little time in that courtroom where Trump wasn't consulting mainly with his attorney, Todd Blanche. Of course, when he wasn't talking to his attorney and asking questions that we couldn't hear, of course, because the mic was moved, he sat there silently, stared down at his hands, looked at the prosecutor's table. But again, very little time that he was in there where he wasn't talking, where he wasn't looking around, scanning the room, appearing to ask who was in the room if he didn't know who the people were. At one point, and again, you can't hear him, but it seemed as though he was asking his attorney who the other prosecutors at the table were. Of course, Tom Windham is one of them who has been leading the January 6th effort, but there were two more. It appeared that his lawyer was trying to explain that, and I just think it's worth emphasizing as we're seeing these images here that the former president might get out of the car and potentially speak. But you mentioned place in history, and that's very important to put this in perspective. Of course, he's appeared in court multiple times now to enter not guilty pleas, but I will tell you that from where I'm standing, I can see the U.S. Capitol. The buildings are not far apart at all. They are about maybe a 5-minute walk from where I am to the U.S. Capitol, so a significant place in history, of course, given the vicinity to where we are.
Thank you, Catherine. Something that we have talked about quite a bit this afternoon. Donald Trump brought back to Washington today to face these charges not far from
So we are seeing an assembly here of media people. This guy in the gray is the Right Side Broadcasting dude. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. There's every indication because of this group that's gathering, including a camera person, that Trump is going to make a statement right now, at any moment.
Likely gaming out whether or not to say something. And let's just watch here for a moment as this plays out. Let's listen.
Umbrellas ready to go.
Our team telling us that is Walt Nauta, Donald Trump's aide holding the umbrella for the president. Walt Nauta, obviously.
Isn't he legally not even supposed to be around Walt?
Case in Mar-a-Lago, charged in that case. An additional charge just in recent days with that superseding indictment and Jack Smith alleging that Walt Nauta, holding the umbrella, made that secret trip to Mar-a-Lago. Going into detail in that indictment in yet another case that Walt Nauta and the manager there at Mar-a-Lago walked down the tunnel with a flashlight to try to find the surveillance camera that was trained on the storage room, allegedly, that had boxes of classified documents.
Here we go.
Asking employee number 4 to delete the server. Here we see the former president, Donald Trump,
Look at
now
this.
running for the presidency again.
A very
approaching the cameras.
somber Trump.
And let's listen.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America. And it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti.
Oh, my
This
God.
is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat them, you persecute them or you prosecute them. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much.
Do you want these trials to happen before the 2024 election?
Additional questions for Donald Trump as he boards the plane. We heard him there moments ago. That is very rare for Donald Trump. For those of you who are astute viewers at home, and so many of you are with us every step of the way here.
Pretty nice umbrella, I must say.
Often takes extra questions. It's something that sometimes he can't help himself but to turn back around. But that might be a signal in the former president knowing the weight of this day and making a statement and not taking the bait on any of those questions shouted his way. But you heard Donald Trump say this is the persecution of a political opponent. He talked about the decay he witnessed in his short trip here to Washington as a swipe, obviously, at the current administration. He pointed out that he's leading significantly. He used his own adjective on the Republican side, which is true. He is leading Ron DeSantis, the closest opponent for the Republican nomination, by about 38 points in the latest polling. He said he's leading, he insinuated that he's leading Joe Biden significantly as well, although we know that's not necessarily the case. They are even.
All right. So Donald Trump back on his plane. He has been once again indicted and arraigned a third time. He now becomes the thrice indicted, twice impeached, failed former president. And that is going to conclude today's coverage. Indicted.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Thank you to everyone who joined us. We will be covering debates, future indictments, which almost certainly will happen. We're going to be covering all of it. If you are lucky enough to be watching on Twitch, make sure you are following me on Twitch to be notified of future streams. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you have hit that subscribe button. If you are watching on Facebook, make sure you have liked. It is all happening. It is election time. And it is also Trump indictment time. Incredible stuff. Thanks to everybody for joining me. And we will be back very, very soon.